Okay, so we've covered in detail how best we can describe the aroma world of a wine. Now we have to talk about the complexity and the quality. Here is the definition of complexity. The complexity of the olfactory dimension of a wine depends on the width of the family aromas. It depends on the diversity, it depends on the number of the family aromas that we can identify. For example, from a wine, if you just identify fruity aromas, it can be the case. From very simple wines, from very young wines, you may just notice red berries, strawberries, cherries, maybe something floral. In this case, for example, we're going to have only the fruity aroma, or fruity plus the floral aroma. I counted 2 family groups. The more family groups you can recognize in the olfactory world of a wine, the more complex this wine becomes. Here I want to emphasize something. The complexity of a wine does not depend on the intensity of these aromas. You really don't care about how intensely these perfumes come to your nose. The complexity is the game. You know, how difficult is this game? How intricate is this game? How interesting is this game of analysis of the descriptors, of the aromas of the wine? As long as the spectrum of the aroma families becomes bigger, becomes wider, then we can say that this wine is complex. Let's compare 2 cases. In one of the cases, we're with a very young wine that offers very fruity aromas, something like strawberries, cherries, pomegranate, something in this dimension. Maybe this wine also has some floral aromas like geranium or caprifoglio, something floral in the end. But we may also have a case in which the wine opens with some fruity aromas, dark plums, dark dried cherries, cherry marmalade, something like this. This wine may then present something spicy, something like canela, something like clove, then that's the second group. Then, as you go along with your analysis, maybe you will notice that this wine has something mineral, like graphites. We are already with 3 families. Then if you can also add a 4th group, something like leather or something toasty like chocolate, then you're with 4 groups. In such a case, you can think of a wine that's complex, that gives you this beauty in the olfactory level. To start your analysis, you can always use this 3-level approach. You could say the wine is not that complex. You can use it, I guess. This is not something totally negative for the typology of the wine. For example, if you're with a Chiaretto, you're expecting something very fresh, you're expecting all of those fruity aromas. They're very cherishful, maybe something floral, but that's it. It's little complex. The complexity is medium minus, or it's little complex. You can have a wine that's complex, or that's adequately complex, that's rather complex. You could have a wine then that's very complex. You can move once again in the spectrum to organize your thoughts better, but it's important for you to understand what complexity is. It's not intensity. You don't care about the name of the descriptor, you do not care about the name of the aroma, you do not care about how intensely it's present in the wine, you care about the number of the families you can identify in the wine. Then, we also have to make a separate discourse on quality. The quality is something very subjective, but firstly you can have a look at how well you perceive the aroma that you identified. How net is it? How franco, how net is it? How clear is the aroma that you perceive in the wine? For example, if you said dark plums, how net is it? How well can you get it? How directly does it manifest itself? This is an indicator for the quality, the netness, the genuinity, the authenticity of the aromas. I guess this is a really nice word to make you understand what is quality of the aromas, what is the quality of the olfactory world. Apart from the netness, one other thing you can analyze to make a judgment about the quality of the olfactory world is about the typicity. How well does the wine represent the region from which it comes? Or how well does that wine you have represent well the characteristics of the grape from which it's produced? That's typicity, and that is something that can really contribute to the quality of the wine. So quality is something that's very subjective. You should be looking for the typicity. How authentic is that wine? How well does it represent all of those aromas? And the directness, the netness. How well can you perceive them? If you think about a chocolate, how direct is it? How net is it? How genuine is it? How authentic is it? These are all of the adjectives and these are all of the words that you can think of when you try to make a judgment about the quality. And you can say, as always, that the wine has excellent quality. If you want to be very extreme, you can say it's fine. The aromas manifest themselves in a fine manner. You can say it's adequately satisfactorily fine. It's little fine. Or you could say it's not really satisfactory. Complexity is a very important thing you should analyze in a wine. Most of the time when we think about the aromas, This is something captivating. This has a really positive implication. Of course, it depends on the typology. From simple wines, because some wines are produced just to be enjoyed in a simple, cherishful manner, in those cases you're not really looking for complexity, but it is something very captivating. One last note to finish off this video. When we make the olfactory analysis, we always start with the intensity. And then, if you're very quick, you can analyze everything in your mind and try to make a first comment about the complexity and the quality, and then you can go on to talking about your descriptors. I personally think that it makes sense to start with intensity, then you think about the descriptors, and then you move on to analyzing the complexity and the quality, because as you understood, the complexity of a wine depends on the number of the family groups. In order to be able to understand the number of the family groups, you should first understand those aromas, those families, those descriptors. So, I suggest you to get started with the intensity, then try to make an analysis of those aromas, then move on to complexity, and finish with your judgment about the quality of the olfactory dimension of the wine. We have completed with this video the analysis of the olfactory world. I hope you go to Vinophilo to discover a huge spectrum of wines that'll help you practice. Let's move on to taste analysis.